In the last class, we were learning about what is joint stock company and what are the merits and demerits of joint stock company. As all of you know, joint stock company is a form of business organization where a number of people contribute to the capital of that business organization through its shares, and they do it voluntarily, and in such a way business organization is coming into existence. So that is what is meant by business joint stock company. They are contributing to capital through shares and they are becoming the owners of the company. Now, in this session, we will be seeing the types of joint stock company or types of companies. When we are saying company, it is joint stock company. Now, we are going to learn about the types of companies. And types of companies can be classified, or companies can be classified in different ways. But here we are learning on the basis of members. On the basis of members, we will be learning about the joint stock company. On the basis of members, joint stock company can be classified into three. On the basis of members, joint stock company can be classified into three. One is public company, second one is private company, and third one is of recent origin or recent concept, that is one person company. One person company. So, on the basis of number of members, we can classify joint stock company into three: public company, private company, and one person company. Even though it is in order public company, private company, one person company, I am putting that order in a different way. It is always better to learn what is a private company first. What is a private company? The name itself says, what is a private company? Private company is that type of joint stock company where it restricts the transfer of shares. That means the members will be of a private group, or it will be consisting of some persons who are very close relatives or friends or whatever be. That means it will not be that company will not be inviting general public to subscribe for shares. General public will not be invited to subscribe for shares. So and once they are purchasing shares, it will not be allowed to transfer. So that is the basic concept of private company. And minimum of 2 members, and a maximum of 200 members. According to Companies Act of 2013, the maximum number has been increased to 200. So minimum 2 members and maximum 200 members, and that shares will be within them only. It will not be allowed to transfer to another person. It cannot be sold to another person. So that is why it is called a private company. And one more thing you have to understand is that whenever private company is starting or joint stock company is being started in this way, compulsorily it must have an addition with the name. The term private limited is to be added. The word private limited is to be added to its name. Whenever it is giving the name, along with the name, at the end of the name, private limited has to be added. That means it's a private limited company. It's a company which restricts the transfer of shares, and public is not allowed to subscribe. And minimum paid up capital is 1 lakh. At least it must have minimum 1 lakh invested in the business. So, and it can be prescribed or it can be amended from time to time. So that is a basic idea of a private limited company. Private company, that company which restricts the transfer of shares, which is not inviting general public to subscribe for shares. Now, why to go for a private company? There are some privileges for private limited company. That is why they are opting for private company. First one is, it can be formed only by 2 members. That means minimum number of members required to start a private company is 2. Whereas when we go to public company, it requires minimum of 7 members. So minimum number is 2. Minimum number required to start a private limited company is 2. No need to issue a prospectus. No need to issue a prospectus. So first one is 2 members. Then second one is prospectus is not to prospectus. What is prospectus? Prospectus is an invitation given to general public to subscribe for shares. Here in private company, prospectus is not required because those who are purchasing is within a closed circle. General public is not invited. So there is no prospectus required. So prospectus is not required to be issued by a private company. That is also another privilege. Another thing is that there is no minimum subscription. Minimum subscription, by the word, it means that when shares are issued, at least 90% of shares must be applied for or subscribed. Then only we can allot, to make sure that enough funds are there. But when we are coming to a private company need not follow this. Minimum subscription is not required. Even without minimum subscription, they can allot shares. So minimum subscription is not to be kept or is not a compulsory thing for a private company. That is also another privilege. Then it can start business on receipt of certificate of incorporation. It is a certificate which is issued by registrar of company by entering the name of company into register of companies, and it is a certificate given by registrar. So a private company can start the business operations once it receives the certificate of incorporation. But for a public limited company or public company, it is not enough. One more certificate has to be given by registrar in order to start by a public company. That is certificate of commencement of business. So that is given after certificate of incorporation. So at the receipt of certificate of incorporation itself, a private company can start working, whereas public company has to wait for one more certificate, that is certificate of commencement of business. Again, that is a privilege. Again, minimum number of shares, minimum number of directors, not shares, minimum number of directors, board of directors required for private company is 2. Only 2 board of directors is required, minimum. Whereas when we go to a public company requires 3 board of directors. So again, that is also another privilege. Again, there is something called index of members. That means how many members have purchased, how many number of shares, their address details, etc. For a private company, they need not maintain this index of members, and it is not to be submitted anywhere. Whereas public limited company has to compulsorily maintain this index of members, and it has to be submitted to concerned authorities. So index of members is not to be maintained, is not required to be maintained by a private company, whereas public company has to. And the last one is, there is no restriction on amount of loans to directors. If loans are to be given to directors, company themselves can decide in private company, whereas when it goes to a public company has to get permission from government in order to give loans to board of directors. So that is also another privilege. These are the reasons why, or these are the benefits of private company, or these are something which is making people choose for private company over public company, or something better, or some privileges, some additional benefits when we are going for private company. Now, what is public company? What is public company? Public company is nothing. Public company is a company which is not a private company. We have already seen what makes a company a private company. So a company which is not a private company is a public company. For better understanding, we'll look into rest of the details. We have already said that minimum number is 7 members, maximum limit is not prescribed. Number of members required to start a public company is 7 and maximum can be any number. No restriction on transfer of shares. That means shares can be purchased or sold by anyone. Invite public to subscribe for share. Anyone who wants to subscribe shares can come and buy shares. Securities may be quoted on stock exchange. That means it will be sold from first time, it will be directly issued by the company. Second time onwards, it will be bought and sold through stock exchange. It will be listed in stock exchange. So that kind of company which fulfills all this is called a public company. Now, as I have said, one more type of company. It's of recent origin. 2013 Indian Companies Act put forward a measure in order to energize, in order to encourage the entrepreneurs or small business operators to come forward. And that concept or that division is called as one person company. Name itself says a single person constitutes a company. A single person constitutes a company. Single person. And it is a one shareholder corporate entity. Only one shareholder, one person will be there. Only one person will be there. One shareholder corporate entity. And as it is not transferring shares to others, that only one person will be holding the shares, it can be considered as a kind of private company. And this is to encourage the corporatization of micro business. That means micro business to enter into very small business to enter into the business realms, and to make sure that those who are coming up with the new ventures to come forward. So this was a measure to encourage people to come forward who are with the limited capacities to come forward. And again, only one director is required. That's another benefit. So only one member and one director is required for registration of this. And who can start this is any Indian citizen and resident of India, minimum of 183 days. Minimum of 183 days they have to stay in India. So any person, any Indian citizen and resident of India can start one person company. So these are the classifications of joint stock company. And with this, we come to the end of the chapter. Now, this will be your assignment. You have to go through the topic, choice of forms of business organization. That means you have to go through different forms of business organization, and you will have to say which form of business organization is perfectly fitting the kinds of business. So just go through it and try to give it as an assignment. So we come to the end of the chapter. Thank you, children.